The technology is proven. I mean, LTE, for example, and fiber are well known. They're used in public, services. They're used by Lumen and other, So it's not like we're inventing new technology here. We're using something that's already there. It's more about how are you going to use it within your own company? How are you going to make sure that it delivers the value that you wanted? So my name is Wendall Reimer. I'm currently a director over our OT networks, which stands for Operational Technology. And what that really means is I oversee how we connect to the devices in the field and bring the data back and send commands back out to the field. Currently, our two big projects, one of them is deploying private LTE, our own private cellular network, and the other is wrapping up our fan deployment using the mesh technology from Itron. Back in 2014 and 15, we set on a strategy to really start a separate focus on our OT side of our network versus our IT side. So the IT side is a lot about email, SAP, et cetera, the things you use to run a business, pretty common across the board. But the OT side, which is pretty unique to utilities, is really how we protect managing the grid. So we have a transmission grid, we have an electric distribution grid, we have a gas grid, and now we have a network. We call that the fourth grid at Xcel. And it needs to be protected, it needs to be isolated. So the two primary things I'll say is, number one is we're privatizing our OT network. And we can get more into that later, but it's all about fiber and microwave and private LTE, et cetera. And the other part is we're separating it a lot from our IT side. And what that allows us to do, if there's ever a threat against our IT network, we can shut that off and keep operating and managing the grid without shutting it down. Part of the planning is really understanding the various segments of our business. So, and really using facts to generate that, right? So for our gas business, how many devices do we out there, whether it's SCADA or meters or reclosers, et cetera, and how many are out there today, how many are they planning, and where are they? Same thing with the electric side, whether it's the meters that we've deployed or the things that control our feeders and the lines, cap banks, et cetera. And really understanding where our business units are and where are the gaps and what do they need. And as you look at that, that starts to generate what kind of a network you need, and that drove us a lot to why we privatized the OTs. We're moving to privatize the OT side. Let's just start with security. We do an awful lot of scanning. We do an awful lot of metrics. We track how many outages we have and what was the impact of the business. We track how long was that outage, which in essence gets to your MTTR, which is mean time to resolution. And we take a lot of those facts and we really look at, if we spend a lot of money on a part of our network, are we going to get the value out of it? And how do we measure that value? Are we going to reduce O&M? Are we going to reduce outages? And what's that impact? And that's all on the operational side. So metrics are really critical and important and trending. But the second part of it is financially. So every major capital investment we have, and this is true for most companies, let alone most utilities, is we have an IRR, an internal rate of return. And we started that right when we did this to say, okay, if we're going to spend this money over a 20, 30-year period, what does that look like, and then where are the gains? So it's basically the old cost-benefit analysis. And that's the language. Metrics and financials and IRRs are really what the executives are used to seeing. So you can go in there and say, look at all this great technology, look at all these pretty pictures, look at, but at the end of the day, it's going to be, how does it help our customers and how does it help our shareholders? The utility industry is very unique in such that we can talk to each other. We're not competing for the most part, right? So what are other people doing? And we did that. Everybody's got a little different thing, and then you need to take all that information and go back and really understand how does it meet your needs and what can you afford, and that's where the IRR comes into play. And I think the other thing I would suggest to them is make sure you look at it as a long-term investment. This isn't a 3 to 5 year typical IT project, right? This is really something you're putting out in the field to manage your grid that you want it to last and be stable and resilient and secure.